Hey everybody, this is Cynthia from Including You Journals with my Merry Christmas tag. The last video of the season, the last tag of the season, and just a little play on making a Christmas tag, something that's easy. And I am making that today using some tissue paper. And I happened to find this. I don't know if it was at my Dollar Tree or some local merchant was carrying this, and I whipped this up in a packet of red, white, and green paper, and it had just a couple of these sheets, and I thought, oh, this would be great. It's simple, it's quick. It's just like using any kind of paper that we would get from a pad of scrapbook paper or in Hobby Lobby or Michael's or anywhere else that you shop for that. And this is how I do my tissue paper. So let's look. I began with cards cut from manila folders, and I just made a rectangle. The size of that I can measure quickly is right at 6.5 by 4. So about a 6 by 4, 4 by 6, 6.5. And I just simply held it up to a journal, which is typically how I do, and decided how large I wanted my tags to be in what I'm creating today. So I have begun with one completed, or not completed, but at least the base part of it down, and I'm just going to show you how I'll start with that. And turning it right side up, I'm going to use this Santa and some other little papers that I'm using. Let's turn it the correct way. Other papers that I'm using from an old cookbook from the 70s, just a piece of paper, and this is the inside of a security envelope. And I thought that might be cool to pull in the blue of the Santa from the background and to create a pocket here with my tag. And I may not create a pocket here, but I may create a little fold out because I really like this Santa and I want all of him to be seen. Isn't he a pretty Santa? This Santa was, I found the Santa on the Graphics Fairy. I typically use Graphics Fairy a lot, and I also use Pixabay, Pixabay. Both of these channels have lots of free images that can be simply copied and pasted into Word documents or PDFs, or I use Google Docs, and then they after I do that on a page, then I will print out a page of these and then cut them out, fussy cut them, and have something that I'm ready to use there. So I may use this as a little flip here and create another little pocket on the back of this, so I'll be decorating this side as well. And I wanted to also start with, I wanted to do a different tag. Let's see, I don't know if this will work or not, but I just thought, could I not have a different kind of tag and maybe not use cutting off those corners to have edges, but to round them with my corner rounder. I think you could see that better here on this side, and I think I'm going to use this today for a little bit different kind of shape of tag. And we'll see what we do with that. All right, so the first thing is I want to go ahead and create with you. I've begun with, again, that same kind of paper. It was from an old McCall's magazine, maybe from the 70s. It had nice yellowing paper, and I really like that. So let's start from there and bring my Santa back down just because he's a cutie and I want to keep looking at him. As I am crafting here. Let's go ahead. I believe I will put a little bit of tissue paper on this side as well. And I think you probably noticed this was scalloped. I didn't cut that. The tissue paper was already scalloped when I purchased it. And I thought, oh, I think I'm going to utilize it just the way it came. I don't have anything like this, and I thought it was a fun idea to be able to use. I think this would be great too if I just had solid red or solid green, and I could have pulled one of those out, and I didn't. I just happened to notice this red, white, and green little plaid and thought, oh, let's try this. This looks like a lot of fun. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that. And I'm trying to decide where I want the placement. So as I'm looking, you can see me adjusting it to one side or the other. And I think this is about here where I'm kind of going to mark it with my fingernail, just so I sort of know where to put the glue, and up this green line. And I'll be able to, and I am going to keep this simple in the way that I work on this. And I'm also using this old paper to glue because later I'm going to make a page that will flip out, and I will want to fold this in half to do that. So if you're interested, you're seeing me now just simply try to figure out where I marked that, and it was about right there. And I'm just going to take my glue stick and lightly, well, yes, I am pressing down, I have to, of course, to get the glue stick to go on so that the tissue paper will adhere, but I am not applying a great deal of pressure simply because I don't want to tear this tissue paper. And now let's see how we can get him down. And to make sure that I glue him far enough over, I'm going to go here. And if there's anything that I don't have tacked down with glue, I can lift it up and go a little bit more. Again, just very light pressure. I'm going to use this card for a little other light pressure, making sure I'm not leaving any bubbles there in the tissue paper. And I do see where I didn't get this down quite to the corner. And I don't know why, but you hear me talk about this often. I somehow leave my corners when I'm using glue stick. I don't mean to do that. I think I lift my glue stick up too quickly, and typically have to go back in with art glitter glue to make sure that is adhered. I'm going to do the same thing here on this bottom corner, just making sure I have that completely tacked down. I don't want it to come up and ruin what I've created. Now, because this paper is a little wet and yes, it is a little thin, I am going to simply tear by laying it down in this manner, pressing towards the edge of my tag, and then just pulling up on the paper so that it tears easily away. Sometimes that tears the paper on the front. Let's turn it over and see what we have there. Okay, so we have, it didn't tear off at all. If it had torn, I would have said that's okay. I'm pulling it off camera, sorry, just as a second to be able to trim away this edge. And this may look like paper underneath. I don't know how the camera's picking that up right here, but that is a white strip or white line in that, making sure there are no bubbles, everything's pressed down just by the feeling of that. Okay, well, I'm going to come back now to this page that I already have. It's good and dry, and I can cut and do whatever else I want to do alongside that as well. And I want to bring a little bit of this blue up into my design because I just feel like it helps my Santa a little bit. And I'm not sure if I want him there or here. Let me just move this around and play a bit and see where I like that blue. And I think it's going to be right there. I didn't move it at all. I just chose that spot. So here I am using a little bit of art glitter glue. I'm not sure what day this is going to air. This is a little before Christmas, but I have scheduled it to air during Christmas. So I think the 20th, maybe just before Christmas, and this will be my last tag for Christmas of the year, just right before Christmas. Maybe the 23rd, 24th, somewhere in there. And hopefully everyone is having then, as it airs, a Merry Christmas. Excuse me. All I did was take this card and kind of go down the edge of my paper my table rather. I'm trying to just simply, I'm doing that with my finger. And if you can see, I'm just sort of pulling that down along my thumb. It was curling up, and all I wanted to do was have it to go flat. When I completely finish making this tag, what I'll do with it is I will put it in between book pages if I want to just make it perfectly flat, or I can leave it just like that. Now, you can see on this first card that I made, I was telling you earlier when I was tearing, see how some of that tore off on this edge right here? I may not have had enough glue. The paper could have been wet and just went in a little bit. I might have been pulling too hard. I'm leaving that. I like how that looks, and I'm just going to embrace that and appreciate that that is there. Now let's see about this Santa. I don't know if I want him touching. He covers up all of my scallops. That didn't accomplish anything for me to have scallops. I'm going to cover up this no full pie down here. That looks a little weird to see full pie to me. This blue kind of hides my Santa, but it does give me a chance to see that I have scallops. And if I choose to pull this blue back on this side as a little flip out, then I'm going to like that, I think, a whole lot better. So let's just try and see how he does. With a little art glitter glue. So I was saying, I hope everybody's Christmas is filled with lots of joy, peace, happiness, wherever you are. I hope the weather's great. If it's snowing, I hope you can just stay in by the fire and have some hot chocolate or coffee. Maybe make some s'mores by the fire if you can do that. We have a fireplace here. I don't know if we'll be making s'mores, but we do have coffee and hot chocolate both, so that's what we'll be doing around Christmas. And I hope you're enjoying time with friends and family. And that does cause my Santa's head to disappear a little bit into that blue, and maybe I would have been better off if I had just taken a little piece of this paper here and added it back in underneath there so that the head of the Santa, I could have still kept the blue here, but that might have helped my Santa's head to pop off there. You know, things happen while you are crafting. I'm trying to decide if I want a pocket, and I'm going to make it a pocket and not a flip out. I think I'm going to put a little piece of money in this pocket, so I want a pocket here. This will go as a gift tag today. Instead of in a journal, it will go into or onto a present, a Christmas present. And I will have a to and from. Excuse me, just making sure that that is even. Then I get all the glue that seeps out. I kind of like how that looks in that I brought the blue down. This is a very, very simple card today. Here is a little journaling card. This is manila folder. I would, if I were putting this in a journal, I would go ahead and cover this with some nice tea or coffee stained paper or some other kind of just aged paper for someone to write on. But since it's going in a journal, I'm probably, or not a journal, but a Christmas present, I'm probably going to put it in just like this. Have a piece of money that's sticking up out of here as well. Maybe a little letter or note to the person who this will be going for. Let's go ahead and make him a true tag. And he doesn't have to be a true tag with this hole, but when I think of tags, typically have a hole. Also, if I were putting this in a journal, I would probably put an eyelet in here. I just think it saves that hole. You've heard me say this all December. I'm in the process of moving. So what will probably happen is I just don't have access to a sewing machine, and sometimes my things get put away and I can't find them when I'm ready to craft because I'm actually living with relatives while I'm looking for a home. And I thank God for them because they have been kind enough to open their home to me while I'm moving, and I didn't have to come here renting. I could just simply stay with family, and they are being great to me. So thanks to my lovely family. I also have some cording that I don't have out here on my table, and I would simply tie the cording around this top here to cinch that up and let that hang out in that manner. I see people all the time use those little handy tiny crafters, tiny staples, excuse me, not tiny crafters, but tiny staples that they use to adhere some kind of little ribbon or fabric at the top of their tag. That's also very nice. I don't have one handy. I don't know why. I am going to pull this part back out and do one final thing, and that is stamping a little sentiment on the back of this card. I do have the word celebrate here, and I'm going to pull him off. Again, I have blocks to put this on, but do you think I can find them today? No, and you know why. I'm going to try it in red. And this is, what kind of red? This is my archival ink in red. I keep some in red and black. I keep other colors. I keep distress inks too, but I'm going to try this in red because it is Christmas. Maybe the blue would have been nice to tie in with my Santa. Oops, too late. I didn't think about that. And no, it's not too late because it wasn't stamped, but anyway. Just going to press that there for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what I typically do, and pull them away, and that's a pretty good stamp. It could be a little bit more vibrant, but maybe I didn't have enough ink. And sometimes if you will wait a second and blot it off and come back and restamp a minute, you do get more ink onto your stamp, and it looks a little brighter, a little more vibrant. All right, I think you can see where I'm going with this tag, and I would put on the back to and from, or to so-and-so, and write another little message, or just to and from here, and put a message in my pocket. I think that'd look great on a package. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. I hope your season has already been filled with lots of joy, and that the coming year is filled with lots of joy and peace for you and much happiness. Thank you for joining me. Until we meet again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.